Today's episode of the Sleepers Podcast is presented by Bob Craft's Orchids of Asia Massage Parlor, where when the story of your day is long and hard, we make sure it has a happy ending. Welcome to the show today, Carter.
I love a good trip to Bob's.
You've been to Bob's plenty of times in your career, haven't you?
I mean, you know, when you're playing in the hard, rough and tough MIAA for 4 years, I mean, you get beat up. You go against the likes of the Nate Van Aaron Donks, the Tyler Cruzes of the world, you know, the D3 legends of the world. You know, you get beat up a little bit. Sometimes you need a little adjustment and whatnot. And, you know, I'm always heading to Bob's. But also note that no means no, everybody.
Shout out to Keith Johnson, who actually took us up on our offer to sponsor the podcast episode for a $10 Venmo. We appreciate you, Keith. We also got another Venmo from Nathaniel Dalton. I just want to say, he says, this is not for an ad read. LOL, just appreciation because payday hit and I'm loving listening to the podcast at work. Keep it up. We love that too. We feel obligated to read that, Nathaniel. Thanks for the Venmo. Once again, you can literally sponsor a daily episode for Venmoing us $10. Venmo at Sleepers Media. Also, feel free to not do that and just ignore that. I just think this is hilarious. So sorry if this annoys anybody, but today's show is going to be a fun one. We got a bunch of summer scrimmage overseas stuff to talk about again. Two of our favorite programs we've already talked about this week. We have more updates, though. We had new games. We had full footage from Matthew Love's ball for a couple Big Ten teams. And then we're going to talk about the best backcourt in the country. And I'm going to explain to you why it's not Michigan State's backcourt. That's later in the show. But first, Cart, 32 comments. But first, even before that, last night was a pretty big night for Sleepers Media Enterprises, Sleepers Media LLC. We had back-to-back business meetings, some things cooking, some things in the oven, some fires on the stove. I just want to ask you for your thoughts. How are you feeling and thinking after a night's sleep after our meetings last night?
I think people should be scared of us, and don't take that in a bad way. But just know, like, there's something. A lot of people like to use a different word. There's definitely something different about how this group here operates, and just know that we're coming.
I got off of 3 consecutive meetings, called you. You prompted me to take a shot of Jack. We took that shot. I went to bed. I woke up at 6:30 on the dot, ran a mile, came back, poured an iced coffee, and now here I am. Like, I am scared of myself right now. I feel a little bit like an animal. Those meetings went extremely well, for the record. So more to come there.
Don't leave out we made a little profit in round robin too.
And yeah, we'll save that for my one big thing, Cart. All in all, great night. More to come from Sleepers. Some exciting things in the works. I'm excited to bring to people's attention when we have the opportunity to do so. 32 comments on yesterday's episode. Let's get right to them. Grant Odell says, gentlemen, worst day job you've ever had? And do you guys both work jobs outside the college sports sphere? Thanks for answering all the comments. I love tuning in every day, listening to you guys interact with the fellas. Go ahead and go first, Cart.
Worst day job easily was I worked at a plastics factory, and it was absolutely just terrible. Just complete brunt work, standing on the line, doing plastic work in the summer. I was convinced that it would be kind of cool because I did it with a couple of my high school like basketball teammates or and AAU teammates when we didn't have tournaments and whatnot. It was absolutely awful. From that point forward, it was like, nah, this is never going to do for me. Either I'm not working or I'll just like work a basketball camp or something. This ain't doing it for me. And yes, I do currently work outside of the college sports world. Hopefully one day I make the jump that Gregory was able to make. But right now, I'm just doing it as a little double grind right now.
Yeah, Cart's a very successful entrepreneur in his own right within the family business that he is a part of. Leadership level, you could say. Executive level, can we call you that yet? Or are you still?
On the business card, it says VP of Sales. Take that as you must.
Hey, there we go. Yeah, I feel like there is a misconception that people don't know if we have quote unquote real jobs or not. Even though I am in sports full time now, I still have very real jobs. I work for Dimers full time on a contract. I work for Field of 68 full time on a contract, in addition to what we're doing with Sleepers. but did make the jump out of the corporate world 2 years ago. Was very nervous at the time, and luckily things have gone pretty well for us personally to the point that that's been a good decision to make. So I have two worst jobs though. One at Michigan State in the summer, I was like a dorm room painter, and the job was just show up at 5:30 in the morning, work until 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, paint 8 rooms a day, just paint the walls. It was horrible. It was like 100 degrees, and you always got paired with like a manager, and the managers got to choose the music that you had all day. And I kept getting paired with people who would play screamo music for hours. It was horrendous. My second worst job, I worked at a drug testing lab. I was like marketing coordinator, but not fun. I know way more about drug testing than I ever wanted to. So shout out to that job.
How did I not know that you did that?
That was my first real job out of school. When I got like an actual salaried position in Kalamazoo. It was at Forensic Fluids Laboratories. And no offense to anyone from Forensic Fluids who may be listening to this, that place was awful, man. That was really toxic work environment, not a great spot. Aiden D says, never tried to put in timestamps into a video, but if they're relatively easy as a watcher, I appreciate when podcasts have them in there. That got a like also, so it appears people want this. I don't know how to do that. I will play with that today, though, Aiden, and hopefully I don't let you down. Hopefully I can figure it out pretty quickly. Eric Alton Haller says, longtime listener, first-time commenter. Thanks for being here, Eric. Carter mentioned a couple weeks ago that he had a Christmas in July workout. What are exercises that you're doing in between the 100 jump ropes? Love listening to you guys every day. Keep up the good work.
All right, so quick overview of it. You do the 100 jump ropes at the end of each round. If Christmas in July goes all the way up to 12. So you start at 1, you do 1 squat, 100 jump ropes. Then you go to number 2 exercise. Number 2 is like shoulder press. Then you do 2 shoulder presses, 2 squats, 100 jump ropes. You can switch up the exercises you want, but basically you go all the way up to 12 doing it, and then you go all the way back down. But at the end of every single round, you do 100 jump ropes. And it's a lot harder than it seems. And I highly recommend it. It's a good one. Good for closing the rings, good for cardio, good for burning calories, get a good sweat going. So I recommend it.
We know we're not a math podcast, but if I'm doing the math right, does that mean you do 2,400 jump ropes in this workout?
Well, okay, so I don't go back down.
Okay.
I go up to 12.
So
Louis
1,200
Bona goes back down to 12. That's not. I don't like playing games that aren't my game. Okay, I go up to 12 and then I'm done.
Yeah, that man's terrifying. I witnessed you do this workout once, and I think I planned to partake in it when we were up in Hiawatha for a little summer vacation with some friends, and I did not partake in it.
No, you also plan to partake in it at your wedding weekend because we went to Western and we did it, but the night before got us a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't know anybody went to Western to do that.
Yeah, me, Lou, Z, and I think Locks, maybe. I don't know.
That's crazy. Respect to you fellas. I was too busy up till like 4 a.m. rapping, and then woke up terrified on the morning of my way. That's scary feeling, man. To anyone who's listening that's not married, that might be married one day, like the morning of your wedding, the jitters are through the roof. I just want to say that. Seymour Butts 420 says that Discord idea is a great one. I feel like it'd be fun to talk with everyone as long as it's respectful-ish. I used it a lot the past few years for classes in college. So let me know if you want input on how the structure of it would work, especially as y'all continue to grow as a podcast. I think it'd be fun to have different channels within the Discord group for each Big Ten team to talk about recruiting and whatnot. Seymour, slide in the DMs, slide in the Sleepers DMs. You said earlier this week that I might know who you are because you had DM'd me a while back. Slide in the Sleepers DMs and let's talk. We need some guidance on Discord, but we are very open to the idea. Neil Stuckey says, I'm on Cart's side when it comes to barbers. Growing up and in college, just bounced around to whoever had an opening. Found my current guy due to me and his wife working together. Would get cuts and shaves in his garage while he was still in barber school. He graduated, opened his own shop. I don't plan on going to anybody else as long as he's around.
So I'm telling you, man, once you get, for Christmas, I'm going to find you something. I'm going to find you a barber. I'm going to send you there for 6 months. It's going to change your life.
So I had a horrifying experience at the old Sport Clips yesterday. I don't think it turned out horrible. Like you can see on the camera right now, but it's definitely not great. I had to actually stop and ask the stylist or whatever you would call her. to completely switch up. Her game plan was not the game plan. It was bad. She was cutting the sides of my hair as if I styled my hair completely different than I do, even though she asked me like how I style it at the front. Like she I think she thought I did like a full comb over that like hung over on this side. So yeah, I basically had to like completely just throw everything off. Like I need a one right now up to here, like pointing on the sides. It turned out okay, but I'm just horrified of what happened. I never want to go through that again. So it might be the end for me at Sport Clips. I finally hear what you're saying and what everybody in the comments is yelling at me as well. If people want to roast me, like please roast the hair. If you don't like the hair today, that would probably boost me, give me the added little pat on the back I need. Zuko LOL says Illini. I never know to say Illini or Illinois. Illini had a solid game. Shannon and Harmon both looked good. Still shot bad, but better than last time. We're going to talk about Illinois game 2 later in the show, Zuko. I agree with your sentiment, though. Your master says Xavier Johnson is being overvalued. It's been so long since he played. The memory of him playing is being remembered fondly. What do you think of X, who actually liked our tweet yesterday?
I mean, I understand. I understand him wanting to find some motivation and want to have that chip on his shoulder, but like the chip on his shoulder has been the chip on his foot the last couple of years. So he hasn't been able to be consistent. He hasn't been able to be healthy. And for me, guys get better as they go on in their college career. And I would say Xavier Johnson got better, but guys don't necessarily get consistent all of a sudden after they haven't been consistent their whole career. That's very rare that happens, and it would surprise me. So if he does do that, color me surprised, but I'm not betting on him to show a level of consistency if he hasn't shown that yet. And he's like what, 23 now, 24? Like he's been in college a long time and hasn't shown the consistency. So I don't know what would shift me to believe that he is going to do that now.
Yeah, the thing is, I was all in last summer. Like I said he was going to be first team All Big Ten, and I didn't like what I saw before he got hurt. So just trying to be objective here. I don't really get why Indiana fans are viewing him as an impact guy.
And it sounds unfortunate, but Indiana got better once he got hurt and they gave the keys to Hushafino.
Yeah, it's true. There's also some like Kalel-Warish issues, like the issues we talked about yesterday with Kalel, I think are there for Xavier too. I'll just say that. But Xavier, sorry if you feel like we're bashing you. I know you saw the clip yesterday since you liked the clip yesterday. But yeah, I think Xavier Johnson was probably like minus 500 to find that clip and interact with that clip yesterday, for being honest.
I think maybe one of the later episodes this week, we need to come up with a sleepers all interaction team, take like all the players that have interacted with us, and let's see like how many games they win.
That would be impressive. We should do that. Coy, shout out Coy. Welcome back to the comments. Says realignment related question. For the Big Ten and SEC, new TV deals mean a lot more money, which probably means better facilities and bigger recruiting budgets, which probably means improved recruiting across the conference. Does that lead to better postseason results? Do Kansas, UNC, and Duke start to fall behind because their school is making 30 mil while the Big Ten schools are making 70 mil? What do you think, Art?
I just don't see it because I think those schools have their own big enough brand and also ways around that. I feel like maybe a little bit closer, but I don't think anything drastic if I had to guess. But I'm the last person you want to speak to on realignment or any of that stuff. I'll let that be known right now.
I actually think it could go the other way. This is just my gut feel. Like, if you think about it, take a program like UConn, for example. They keep winning national titles. They don't have the largest budget in the world. They don't have the nicest facilities in the world, but they are a school that pretty much only cares about basketball. I think the same can be said for Duke, can be said for Kansas, can be said for North Carolina, even though Drake May exists, right? All these schools that are in the Big Ten and SEC claim they care about everything, which really means they just care about football. So if anything, I actually think the basketball could suffer from this. I think teams are going to beat up on each other a little too much. I think all the money's going to go to football, not basketball resources. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a school by school basis. I can tell you, like, Michigan's basketball program isn't going to get better because they added the Pac-12 teams into this. If anything, they're just going to have worse records and probably miss the tournament more. So that's my answer, Coy. Good question, though. Well thought out question. Alec Wall says, Which do you think is more likely, an Illinois Sweet 16 appearance or a Purdue National Championship game appearance? One of my favorite questions of the week right there. What's your answer?
I'd say Illinois Sweet 16, only because winning a national championship is very, very hard.
I think it's Purdue national title. I do. Yeah. More to come. More to come on both of those teams later this episode. Great question, though, Alec. Clayton says Team USA has been kind of a sad story since the original Dream Team. The first Dream Team was representing they would have never lost a game. It was too important, and they knew it. They knew what they were put together to do, and they did it. These teams now don't carry the same swagger. I feel like that's Redeem Team erasure. Redeem Team was fantastic.
Yeah, 100%. And like I said, this team is still a compilation of up and coming stars that we're going to look back and be like, oh, that guy was on that USA team before he became that next jump. That's the guys on the team right now. So they're going to be good. I'm feeling really good about my USA future. I don't care. I'm serious. Like, I get it. I get it. Yeah, Giannis, yes, Luka, but they're also playing with some postal workers. Let's not get out of control now. They got some players, but there's still some guys on this USA team that would start on clearly over some people on Slovenia and things like that. So let's relax just a little bit.
Is Jordan Morgan that much worse than Bobby Portis?
Yes.
Is he?
Yes.
I don't know that he is.
He is. And it's not even close.
I don't know. Aiden is back. He says, how do you guys feel about Micah Shrewsbury as a hire? Obviously very underwhelming roster, but has said his vision is to recruit high school players. How do you think his tenure at ND will turn out?
I think it'll turn out good only because I believe in Micah Shrewsbury, the coach. I truly yes, this roster is extremely bad. There's nothing that he can even do with this roster. But if he gets just some level of guys in, he'll be able to coach his way into being a successful coach and having a successful program. I'll never sell my Micah Shrewsbury stock. He could take me and you and drop something to make us successful as long as we play hard. So I guess he couldn't do anything with us. But what I'm saying is, in the future, I'm still buying my Notre Dame and Shrewsbury stock.
I'm right there with you. All these questions we get about Big Ten coaches, like Shrew would be my answer to most of them if he was still in the conference. I can't get enough of him. My big question with Shrew is, does he view Notre Dame as his destination job or not? I do think he's going to be pretty good pretty quickly. Not this year because that roster is just gutted. But we saw him turn Penn State from a gutted roster into one of the most fun, exciting teams in the country last year, off of one offseason with a good portal class. I think he can do that immediately. And if he does do that immediately, like if Notre Dame makes a tournament a couple times, maybe, God forbid, makes a Sweet 16 in his first 4 years, there's some big name programs that are going to come calling for him. And I'm very curious if he would.
Especially if a certain fan base in Lafayette gets a little bit upset and they want to bring their plump king back home.
That's the thing. It's not a coincidence that Shrew is a great coach or X's and O's guy or whatever. And, he just so happened to be a painter protege. Like, those two guys are two of the best in this business at that skill set of coaching. So go Shrew. We love Shrew. Blake Brockman says, feels like some under the radar potential glue guys for Indiana that you have yet to include anything on are as follows. Sneaky good contributors you guys haven't mentioned: Peyton Sparks, Anthony Walker, Caleb Banks, CJ Gunn, and Ja'Kai Newton. Would love to hear your thoughts on these guys.
There's a couple guys on that list that I would give like the glue guy, tag to. Peyton Sparks, yes. CJ Gunn, I haven't seen enough of him, and every time I've seen him in his very small time on the court, I've never come away impressed. It's not the glue guys for me with Indiana. I don't know if we made that, if that's how our point came across with Indiana. I think it's the guys who are like the starter level guys, the starter level backcourt guys that you have, and just how the team doesn't fit. I don't know if it's necessarily the glue guys. You can't utilize a really good glue guy unless your team fits together extremely well. I always point back to like the Baylor teams. They fit together extremely well, and then you throw in glue guys like Vital and Meyer. Like, that's like the formula for me. And I don't know if you can put the glue guy tag out there if the regular guys aren't fitting all well together. There ain't nothing to glue together.
Yeah, where's Peyton Sparks going to play? on this team?
I,
He's a 6'9" center from Ball State. Is he taking Malik Renault's minutes? Is he taking Kel'el Ware's minutes? Is he taking Mackenzie Mbako's minutes? Because it doesn't matter if Peyton Sparks is good. Where does he play?
I think he would in a perfect world for a team that fits together, he'd be a good backup big glue guy.
Right, but that's like on this team. Where does he play? It doesn't matter if he's good. He doesn't.
The way Woody operates, he might throw him at the 2.
I just don't know. I think, no offense to any of those guys you named, because there are a lot of options. That's the nice thing I would say. Like, you only need one of these 5 to be a dude, and all of a sudden things are good for Indiana. Like Tamar Bates was the constant, ooh, breakout guy. Ooh, what a fun little depth piece. Tamar Bates was never anything at Indiana. I don't think Mike Woodson's teams are going to be defined by their role players. They're going to be defined by their stars. And this year's team stars don't fit together whatsoever on paper. So
there's a certain host on this podcast who was singing the absolute praises of Tamar Bates and wanted Tamar Bates on their team.
That's not true. That is not true. There was never, I'm like standing for Tamar Bates. That never happened.
Yes, you were. You were bringing up some like he's a 40% 3-point shooter stats and stuff like that.
Never happened.
Okay.
Never happened. I took D Rose's SAT. Xavier Johnson will be in the same tier or better than Boo Buie this year. Whooped him at Pitt. Will finally play him as an Indiana player. Also, Indiana is looking to add an overseas guard, so they should at least make the NCAA tournament. I think that's the most blasphemous thing that's ever been uttered on the Sleepers podcast, Carter. Xavier Johnson will be better than Boo Buie.
There's no chance. I would put any bet in the world.
Why do people hate Boo so much? Like, what's he got to do?
I think honestly right now, I think it's that you like him and they need to find a way to get at you. Like, you did this.
Boo was 3 points away from beating UCLA and taking a team that starts Brooks Barnhizer to the Sweet 16 last year. Like, can we just acknowledge that? He was incredible. If you want to say Xavier Johnson, a dude who averaged 9 points last year, is better. Like, why? Why D Rose SAT? I love you, D Rose SAT. That's a horrible comment. Attorney J35 says Drunk Scouts Max Christie breakdown. Greg cheers for Izzo's last 5-star. Next thing said following this, Carter, have you ever met a Jack Daniels? Different side of you guys and very funny. Are also Carter salsa danced.
Did I salsa dance?
I don't remember much from these series, so
I might have to go back and watch those one day.
They're a very unique watch. If you like us, you'll probably like those. And I think they're one of the better like visual shows because we had actual highlights from these guys in those episodes. Yeah, funny to revisit every now and then. Chase T says, what's your prediction for each professional Detroit sports team's next playoff appearance?
Okay. Tigers, no need to address that. Please refer to Chris Castellani's Twitter, but they stink.
3 years for the Tigers.
3
years.
Really? I thought it'd be farther than that. Really?
I think the pitching staff is almost there if they can just get healthy. Like if Mize comes back healthy, Scooball's good. I like what we got there. Hitting, they still need dudes, but like Colt Keith is a dude. He's mashing right now, and he's going to be on the team next year. This Max Clark kid we got, I know everybody was upset about the pick. Looks electric in his early days right now, homered already. So I'm optimistic. I think 3 years is 3 years, but I think that this core will make a playoff run at some point.
Is Max Clark already like with the big dogs, or is he?
No, he's still he's like in the rookie levels, but
okay, gotcha.
But he's mashing. Like they were worried about the kid. He has like forearm sleeves and is a dude. Like he's a vibes guy and a dude.
Okay, love that energy. The Pistons are making the playoffs this year, by the way. That's happening.
2 years.
If they stay healthy, they're making the playoffs this year.
I'm generally high on them, but I think it's 2 years away. But
and we already talked about the Lions. Lions are making the playoffs.
Lions are this year. Do we acknowledge the Red Wings? People are going to get mad at us for this, but I don't care about the Red Wings.
I only watch playoff hockey.
Yeah, that's same with me.
And they haven't been there, so.
I'm a fair weather Red Wings fan for sure. Sorry, comment section. Just not really a hockey guy. But yeah, I do think in general, Detroit sports is going to be back in all caps in like 2 to 3 years. I think these cores are all going to make playoff runs.
Can I tell a quick funny story about a shtick I used to have?
Yeah, please.
I used to genuinely tell people and be dead ass serious, like on my face, that I would not watch hockey because there's a bunch of white men hitting around a black puck, and like people would lose it. Kids in my hall would lose it. I lived in a hall with a couple big hockey fans. Like during the playoffs, they'd be like, "Hey, pull up, Carter, have a couple beers, like watch the game." I'd be like, "No, my brother, I'm not doing that. You think I'm gonna watch your people oppress me and shoot me around the ice in puck form? I ain't doing that." And it became a thing.
It's a good thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's a pretty good thing. Also, if you said that to college me, I would really like have some introspection of myself after. I'd be like, wait a second, is that actually happening? Blake Brockman says, add to Carter's point on Kalel Ware. Dude was not checked out at the start of the season last year. He gave Michigan State 17-9. Well, then again, is that difficult to give Michigan State's front court 17-9? He gave defending champs UConn 18-9. That is difficult to do. He wasn't checked out, in my opinion, until his assistant that recruited him left.
But that's all it took for him to check out, huh? An assistant that recruited him leaving? That's crazy.
Not great.
That's all I need to know.
Can we claim Kalel, though? Like, we're obviously worried about things, but we love his game. Are we allowed to claim him or no?
I want him to do good. I truly do. Because I think
so that's not a claim, though. He's not like a sleepers guy.
You want to claim him as a sleepers guy?
I love his game. I just am scared about everything in between his ears. But those are traditionally some of the guys we love. So
yeah, true. But with the guys like that, though, there is something on the court we can go off of. If you got me 2 games that I can go off of, and the rest of the season you're getting like DMPs,
he's killing some chairs right now. He is busting the chair's ass.
I mean, and with everything going on with chairs right now, shout out to Montgomery, Alabama. Like the fact that Kiel's doing this to chairs is special.
Richard Blake says, great story on how you guys met. Can you guys let me know what channel to find this year's Moneyball games? Thanks. I don't know where to find Moneyball games.
They don't stream them. Do not stream them.
Hey, but Moneyball, if you do want to stream them, we know some guys who would love to commentate Moneyball. Just saying. Jared Goff is back. He says, never forget when Carter dropped his top 5 white boys list and put Michael Cera fourth on that list. What's your current white boy top 5?
He's up to 3, if anyone saw Barbie. Another generational performance.
What's the top 5 right now?
So I got you at 1, obviously.
Wow. Thank you.
That's a given. I got Max Homa at 2, Michael Cera at 3, Tyler Hero at 4, and 5th I got Seth Rogen.
Homa is getting a lot of love. What's Homa done this year?
I love Max Homa.
Okay. I feel like
I think Homa is an all-time vibes guy.
I don't disagree there, but I like Sarah, like you said, generational performance. Clearly, I'm putting on generational performances these days. Hero's about to get traded, be the centerpiece of a Dame Lillard trade. That's a big moment for him. Like, I don't feel like Homa's holding up his end of the bargain to hold down the second spot. That's all I'm saying. As the leader of this list, I want to hold my other white men accountable.
Well, you want to know who's at the bottom of the list just for, reference points?
Who?
Austin Reeves.
Zach Stewart says, when is the next time we're getting Davey Scoops back on the pod? Davis Mosley is the best in the business. We do love Davey Scoops here. I don't know when he's going to come back on the pod, but he has an open invite. You want Davey Scoops back on the pod, Cart?
Well, he's too busy cutting Kobe Campbell film right now.
Michigan's moved on from Kobe, by the way, which is a good thing for our YouTube channel because nobody cared about that segment. Brandon Snyder said, give me your 5 favorite players from the 90s on Big Ten teams, not including your favorite team. His were Michael Finley, Sean Respert, Vashawn Leonard, Brian Evans, Scooney Penn. 90s, not to date ourselves or anybody here, 90s kind of predates us a little bit. I had a hard time with this.
Yeah, I can't honestly, I can't truthfully put any people out there that aren't Michigan State or Michigan players.
I have 3 I can truthfully do. Jalen Rose is one. If I had been like my age
it
now,
can't be. He said it can't be your team.
Oh, I thought he said including. That's on me.
Maybe
never mind. Mateen would make my list. You do not love Mateen though, and Michael Finley would make my list. Outside of that, I don't have enough eyes or love for anybody else.
I mean, C Webb, TCD guy. Shout out to him. Jalen Rose. Honestly, it'd be the Fab Five Michigan. Like that, those dudes were cold.
If Rose was like, if I was my age when Rose was Rose at Michigan, he would have been my favorite player of all time, like without question. He's everything I look for in a college basketball player. Do you want to share any Mateen thoughts quickly? Are you still not a fan on Mateen? We got to talk to him for College Hoops to Go last year. He was electric.
Yeah, we did. When I like rank all-time great Michigan State point guards, like people put Mateen at like 1 or 2. Like Cash is ahead of Mateen. Like I'm taking Denzel ahead of Mateen. That's me. That's me personally. So
a little crazy. I mean, the heart
people
of
people seem to bite back at that a lot, but like those guys are better than Mateen to me.
The heart of Izzo's only championship team. That's it's a little crazy to have 2 guys. Like maybe a hot take, one of them.
It's a personal take. He's a Michigan State legend. I respect that. But when I'm making my personal list, I'm taking those other guys.
Okay. Ulamog says Carter marrying Kofi's sister explains all the Illinois love on the podcast.
That's funny.
I think that's a miss there. Speaking of who Carter married, Meg Coburn says, longtime listener, first-time commenter, can y'all do a Patreon subscription for Sleepers on the Porch? Basically, you bring a mobile tailgate to the porches of people with college flags in front of their house, share a beer and a conversation.
I don't think anyone knows how much she wants this segment to happen. This derived from we're a family that takes a lot of walks. You know, family walks are great. If you're not taking walks with your significant other or just like walks with your friends, I highly recommend doing it. A walk is good for the soul. And we always see like flags hanging off of porches. And I'm walking through Ferndale, Michigan. There's a house down the street with an LSU flag. I want to know more about that. I want to know why that LSU flag is there. I got a mini cooler here with a cold beverage. If you like it, I would like to know the story of this flag. And that would be the segment. Do I think it would work? No. Would it fill my personal intrigue? Yes. Because why do you have an LSU LSU flag down there? I want to know.
She has been pitching us on Sleepers on the Porch for a long time. For the record, I like this idea a lot more than you do. I think I would tweak it a little though. Like, I don't think it would be about the people with the flag. I think it would be more just like, oh, the Sleepers are on a random porch for today's episode. And like,
I think it'd be a lot less well received if me and you showed up on somebody's porch.
Yeah, you don't want to see us on your porch. But we want to be on your porch. So speaking of that, Coy says there's a porch in Indianapolis open to the Sleepers whenever needed and fans. It would just be like a Sleepers game day, but it's just like if we ever got to do a college game day thing, I wouldn't want to do it like in front of a stadium. I would want to do it on someone's porch.
Yeah. Have I ever told you like I love porches too? That's where it's also strength, like kind of from.
You're a big porch guy.
Oh my! like if I could get a good, nice porch like on the front of the house. Oh my god, I love a good porch, screened-in porch in the front, couple of chairs. If it's rainy, you can sit out there, just hear the rain. Maybe have a beverage. I love a good porch. If there's a porch swing, I'm for sure on there.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, Sleepers on the Porch. Let us know. Comments. Thanks, Meg. Good to see you in the comments. Any comment from you, Carter, on the fact that your wife's name in the comment section is Megan Coburn and not Megan Elliott?
I mean, that just drives me more and more. I need that chip, crack.
Crack, baby. Aiden Tree says Greg singing Drake sounded strangely like Jay-Z. Any thoughts, Cart?
That's a compliment, right?
That's a big time compliment. I do feel like there might be a moment at some point where the chat needs to hear Gee Whiz. It might need to happen because I feel like people are kind of like, wait a second, bars? Wait,
join the Discord to hear bars.
Actually, I really would do that. It's been a while, but I would. Steve Dunn says, curious if you guys have any relationship with the Round Ball guys. I just wanted out there that I think their podcast is awful. And then there's a second part I'll get to after that. But you go ahead first. Do we have a relationship with Round Ball?
I got a relationship with Dukes. Me and Dukes follow each other on Twitter, and Duke's mother thinks I'm funny. So I guess that is. I mean, Hunter DMs you or has DM'd you before, so I guess we got a relationship with him. Don't really have a relationship with Mark, but I don't know how he feels about us.
Yeah, Dukes and I follow each other as well now. I have no animosity towards any of those guys, Marty included, but yeah, we had some fun at their expense last year. It is what it is. Also, Greg, who's on your short list to take over in Ann Arbor after Howard exits? Timeline's got to be next 2-3 years. And knowing Michigan, they're not going to get involved in any of like the big time players. I would say I'd hire Shrew immediately before anybody else does. I don't know if he would leave Notre Dame for Michigan,
I was gonna
but
say, you think he would take it?
I don't know. I don't know, but
Only,
that would be
only,
top
only
five.
name I'll throw out there, and I know it has no connection, and I don't know exactly how it would work out or if he would take it. But if FAU has another good year, like people are going to be calling Dusty May. Would you want Dusty?
I would absolutely want Dusty. I don't think he would come to Michigan. I think he's going to get better jobs than that, to be honest. The thing about Michigan, I think by now people realize Michigan is not a great job. And it like maybe 4 years ago it was on paper. You're going to have to deal with the administration on the school side that stinks. You're going to have to deal with not matching NIL with a lot of these big time programs. There's a lot of big name coaches I don't think would want to come. And Juwan Howard included, by the way. Like, I still believe Juwan Howard could be a very good college basketball coach at the right program. Michigan's not the right program. Like, he does not have what it takes to navigate the issues that the University of Michigan brings. I think Shrew would, and God forbid, man, if Purdue keeps flaming out in the tournament cart, if Painter ever actually got fired, that's my immediate call. If I'm Michigan, if Matt Painter's available,
that would be
immediately
so
calling.
weird to see Matt Painter leading Michigan. That'd be so strange.
It would be a major mistake if Purdue moved away from him. But if they do, I got him on speed dial already. Your master says is back. He says, enjoy your Lions hype because the Lions are going to lion. It's a quarterback league. You have Jared Goff, a B quarterback at best.
I mean, we're acting like in the NFL, we never seen B quarterbacks get it done. We're not saying he's going to win a Super Bowl, but like worst quarterbacks have made it to the playoffs and won playoff games.
Jared Goff is the right quarterback for the Lions because we need a quarterback that embodies who the Lions are. And like people see Jared Goff and laugh at him when in reality, like he can go under the radar and win. That's what this Lions team to me. Like people are going to see this team. They're going to laugh at this team because, oh, it's the Lions. Like, stay quiet, stay low and build, do our job. Golden Piper says, what is the non-Power 5 roster no one is talking about? It's a tough question because I think a lot of the non-Power 5s this year are being talked about.
Yeah. Non-Power 5, that'd be tough. And I mean, a lot of them got gutted too. That's the thing. If the one I would throw out there is McNeese State with Will Wade. He did a lot of good things in the transfer portal, got a lot of good, like, high major players. And I think it's just a start for him, too. Like, I feel like he's going to do some things at McNeese, just getting transfers. But he's got some pretty good guys on that roster that I think will make a bit of a splash. So I'll give a shout out to McNeese State and Will Wade, the original OG cheater.
Yeah, I don't think I have a team that I actually think is going to, like, overachieve or anything. I will give a shout out to Roger Powell, though, head coach at Valparaiso. I got to interview him over the summer. Awesome. I'm buying big time stock in that program in general. I don't think this year's team is going to be anything special, but I think Roger Powell will be like a high major head coach one day from talking to him. So
was he on the staff when they took Thomas Kidd here?
No.
Okay, good. I'm in.
No, Roger Powell was with Gonzaga. He's been like, he's been with few, like cooking. Now he's got his own program at Valpo. And I'm telling you from just a 20-minute convo, like this dude, he's going to be a star as a head coach.
Love that.
Remember the name. Indiana's corn. This is from Riley Lulfs. Indiana's corn has to be in consideration for best corn. We talk about corn too much on this show, I think.
Especially because I hate corn on the cob.
Not a Cobb guy?
No, I think I think it stems from like the 9 years I had braces, and when you had braces, you can't eat corn on the cob. I'd rather not work. I hate working to eat. I want to.
Did you just say you had braces for 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
9 years.
8.5, 8.
What the hell was going on there?
So I had them for 4 years. Was an idiot, and I was doing some dumb stuff like, you know how in the kitchen counters or whatever. This was during the Olympics a long time ago. And I just got done watching the people do like the pommel horse routine. So I was in the kitchen, like fucking around, like, oh yeah, like I'm in the Olympics, whatever. Hand slips, fall into the counter, bust my face, bust my teeth on the counter, messed my braces all up, my teeth all up. And I basically had to start over. So I had like a 4-year time. I was just about to get them off, try to be an Olympian in the kitchen, messed up, hit my face, had to get them again.
Jesus. You doing dumb stuff. Shocker there, though, for the record. But 9 years of braces, that's insane. Also, I saw the wheels moving in your head. That was just a joke. Don't take that too personal, my friend. It's all love. We're on the same page. The meetings went well last night. Lock
I
in.
know,
Be
I know.
my
I just
guy.
feel like ever since we talked to each other about what our ACT scores was, you've been looking down on me.
That's not true at all. Todd Kai says, I think if Matt Painter has another disappointing finish to the season, he may be gone. They could bounce back like Virginia did in 2019 after the 2018 upset. That's why he's on my speed dial. Okay. But like Purdue fans, sour on this man. Go ahead. Make the biggest mistake you'll ever make in your careers.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say there's nothing that Painter could do this year to get fired.
I hope that's the case. I think that's the case too. It's not going to happen either.
Also, he's not. They're not. They're going to be good. God damn it.
Yeah. Wyatt Robinson, last comment of the day, says, Quez Glover, is Daddy Brad interested? It has been mentioned a bit on Illini boards. Have you heard this? Thanks. Love your show.
We're not bored people. Actually, are you a bored person?
I wouldn't call myself a bored person, even if I'm on a board.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a bored person, and I leave that to the Tristan Freemans of the world. I don't see this. I don't see it happening though. I don't. I mean, I did see some ramblings that Illinois thought they were going to get Mike Meadows, and then obviously he committed to St. Louis the other day. I assume that Quest Glover's not going to go to Illinois, not at this point.
Illinois and Indiana were the two that were mentioned, which, I mean, we've been talking so much about how both teams needed a guard. Neither one
Kansas
did.
State too.
Yeah. Don't you think it would almost be a little damaging at this point for Brad to actually bring him in this late?
Yeah. Also, you already have a player that I probably think is better than Quez Glover, to be honest with you. Like, I'd rather have DGL.
I would still do it. I want to be clear. I would still do it because I think they need anybody shaped like a guard. That said, I think now that Illinois has been overseas playing games together, if Brad tries to bring in like a non-impact player to play point guard as if like, oh, we needed Quez Glover to be good, I think that would really mess with the psyche of this team. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Good job today, comment section. Appreciate you as always. You're keeping the momentum going for this very show. Riley Friday tomorrow. Riley Davis from Heat Check joins us. We love the folks at Heat Check. Riley will be back on to just mesmerize us with some crazy topics. I haven't talked much to Riley this week either. Normally we have a nice little back and forth. He's gone kind of silent on me, so I'm nervous for tomorrow's episode.
Yeah, that definitely makes me nervous.
Yeah. Also, it's Almanac week, and Riley Davis is playing a very influential instrumental part in the Almanac rollout. So we'll see. Hopefully Riley shows up tomorrow for Riley Fridays. Is
the Almanac coming? Is that out? I didn't see anything on it.
Oh, is it coming out? The Almanac? Really?
I must have missed that.
Oh. I don't know. All right, let's get to our topics today, Cart. You want to start with Illinois or Purdue? Which one do you want to do first?
I would like to start with Illinois.
Let's talk about Illinois. Illinois game 2 occurred on their Spain trip. First, we got treated to a nice little video of the Illinois basketball team comparing themselves to marine animals. That was enjoyable. Brad Underwood seemed to be having a great time with that. And then after that, we were treated to being reminded that Terrence Shannon is Terrence MFing Shannon. Okay. 25 points in 15 minutes. He had 23 points at halftime of this game. And the wild thing to me is I was watching, for the record. I know you were too, but I'm also watching like the Twitter community respond to this, because that's one of the best parts of all things Illinois is how are people freaking out? How are they engaging? Terrence Shannon had 23 points in the first half, and nobody was talking about it. All the hype was like, oh, we got one with DGL. Like, oh, some guys are shooting pretty well, like, which they weren't, by the way. But like Terrence Shannon was the story of this game. And maybe he wasn't the story just because people have come to expect that from him. But like, it's a good reminder that Illinois has a potential All-American on this team who was on pace to go for 50 in this game if Brad let him play.
Yeah, no, he was special. He was doing everything. He was out in transition. He was knocking down threes. I mean, he was doing everything, and he was locked in defensively. It was funny because he had a bad game the first game, and they were joking at the aquarium, and Brad's like, Yeah, he played like a polar bear yesterday, but he'll probably play like a barracuda today. And I mean, shit, I guess that's what a barracuda does, gets 25 and a half damn near. But he was special. My main takeaway, though, the main thing that I want to talk about with the Illinois game is that at least when I flipped it on, so I flipped it on probably midway through the first quarter when I had a chance to. And it was very sloppy in the half court, very sloppy, a lot of turnovers, a lot of missed layups that I would bank on that team to typically make. But the one thing that stuck out to me out of this and outside of like singling out actual players is that this team could be very, very good defensively. And I think they could be very good in transition. I truly do. Because when they were in that lull and the half court offense wasn't working, they started getting out in transition. You have athletes like Terrence Shannon Jr., and you have athletes like Sincere Harris and no Coleman having the ability to push the ball himself and get out in transition. I think that's kind of where they did a lot of their damage and where I could see them doing a lot of damage in the season because if you are having issues in the half court and the point guard position, having trouble getting in the offense, the best way to combat that in my eyes is to get out in transition and get easy buckets and let your defense kind of feed into your offense. Did you kind of come away with that takeaway in that game?
100%. So I think often with the summer stuff overseas, like people rightfully so are like, you can't read too much into it. It's just a scrimmage, right? There's not much to conclude. I actually think with Illinois, even compared to a team like Purdue, who we're going to talk about next, I think with Illinois, there is a lot you should take away from this that will apply to this year's team. The biggest being that this team is going to have to make their identity defense and run. That's it. It has to be that.
Get stops, get out and run, and have fun. Like lock in on defense. All coaches, and I'm sorry to cut you off, G. All coaches love to stake their claim on defense, and the motivation for that is not getting stops. The motivation for that, it is getting stops, but it's getting out in transition and having fun. Like have a Terrence Shannon dunk, wake up the State Farm Center, have a Coleman Hawkins push into a dish out for a three, have a Sincere Harris picking up full court, 10-second count, and just kind of flip the momentum. They're gonna have to lock in on that end of the floor and let that fuel the rest of the offense.
And I think it could be a really good team if that's how they want to win. And give Brad some credit. I think one of his biggest strengths as a coach that I've seen in his tenure at Illinois is he is very good at molding his teams year by year into a new identity. He doesn't have one way he wants to win basketball games. Some coaches do. Some coaches say, this is what my team is going to look like. Screw my personnel. They're going to have to figure it out. Brad Underwood a team from one year to the next will look totally different. And I think this year's team, from what I'm seeing, I think they could be elite defensively. I think this could be top 10 in the country good defensively. I think they have athletes. I think they have guys that can switch. I think they have guys that can get in your shit. I think they have a little more shot blocking than I gave them credit for the other day because Coleman and TSJ are flying around from all positions from the weak side. So we saw that there's that clip that went viral of Gibbs Lawhorn. He had the steal and then the windmill in transition. Like, I think they're almost going to have to do a little Shaka Smart style havoc defensively, like pressure defense, and it could work because if they are getting out and running, this team has a bunch of athletes in transition. Now, all that said, I don't necessarily think that this coaching staff would choose to play that style basketball if they could pick their ideal world. They're going to have to do that because of their limitations on the offensive side, even if they are really good defensively. Like, this team does not have an identity in the half court, and they don't have shooting. They don't.
Yeah, and you know what also scares me personally about this is that I feel like they do have to lean into the transition thing, and unfortunately, that might mean less minutes for my king, the danger zone, Dan Danger, if they want to get out and run like they want to.
Yeah. But again, I think this team's going to look different every single game. And this is a good example of it because Dane was the star of game one. And then in this game, he finishes with 10 points and a couple rebounds, 5 rebounds. And it's not a bad thing if you have multiple ways you can win games. But I think this is very much going to be an Illinois team that, like, every night it's a different guy. They're deep. Like, they're not looking for talent. They've got 11 guys that I think warrant playing time on this team. It scares me offensively because I really don't know what they're trying to do in the half court other than give Terrence the ball and get out of the way.
Yeah.
And that can work some games because TSJ is special. But we also saw last year when they needed to do that, there were plenty of times that it really got stuck in the mud and TSJ didn't have a good game and the whole team.
And there was a lot of times in this game where the point guard for Valencia would pick up full court and kind of he was a smaller guy and he kind of got up in Ty Rodgers and got up in DGL. And I would not say they handled that well in this game. There was a couple turnovers forced by pressure. It just didn't look right in the half court at all, whether it was making an entry pass into the post or just getting into the offense. It just did not. It just didn't really look good. Granted, second game, I guess, but you don't really want your half court offense. I feel like, yes, there's some things you can improve on your half court offense, but I would assume it should be a little bit farther along than what it is now.
We came on here the other day and downplayed the shooting concerns. We said we were worried about not having a point guard. We weren't worried about shooting. Shooters will make shots. That was largely because in game one, Coleman and TSJ combined for 0 for 10 from 3. In this game, Coleman and TSJ combined for 3 for 6 from 3. The rest of the team shot 3 for 22. The whole team, including Terrence and Coleman, shot 21% from 3, 6 for 28 in this game. They shot 55% from the free throw line as a team, 15 for 27. Where are you at with Illinois shooting right now?
Yeah, I expected somewhat of a bounce back in this game, and you don't see one. So I do think that you mentioned on the last episode, I think Damask is a guy who will improve that and be able to knock down shots. Obviously, I will never ever sell the fact that Luke Goody's going to hit shots. That's going to happen. He's not hitting them now. He will hit shots at a pretty high clip.
Is he is he 40% though? Or because I think there's that's the question to me is he like an elite Big Ten shooter that's going to make 40% on high volume, or is he like he can shoot and he makes 35%? Because right now he's
I think he ends up somewhere like the 38 to 40 range.
Okay, I guess because he was 2 for 6 game one, 1 for 3 this game. I still I know he's a shooter. I buy the shot. I need to see a game where he's like 4 for 5 just to believe it can happen.
He also hasn't got that great of looks.
Yeah.
To me personally, and that stems back to what's going on in the half court.
Yeah. Also, just going down the list, man, like Sincere Harris, not a shooter, 0 for 3. Justin Harmon, we don't know, 0 for 2. Quincy Guerrier, supposed to be a shooting upgrade, 0 for 2. Gibbs Lawhorn, man, 1 for 8. We keep doing the Carson Edwards comparison. He was 5 for 15 from the floor in this game with 0 assists.
That is Carson, so he's going to come back next game and have 30.
So that's
hit 7 threes.
The Gibbs Lawhorn thing's interesting too, because I think a lot of the big reactions to this game were Illinois fans being like, "Oh, we got one with DGL," because he had some really eye-popping moments. Like I said, the steal for the breakaway windmill was huge. I still think the kid gets downhill incredibly well for his size. We like his offensive package. Brad, after the game, was asked about it, and I thought this was a very careful choice of words from him. He said Gibbs Lawhorn played a lot of point guard today. Like he came out and actually assigned that name to DGL. You're not saying that about Ty Rodgers. You're not saying that about anybody else now. Like I think the wheels are starting to spin from this coaching staff, and like DGL might have to play the point for us. I think you saw the downside of what DGL is going to look like at point guard in year one, though, as a true freshman. Like he led this team in shot attempts with 15. He only made 5. He was 1 for 8 from 3. He had 0 assists to 2 turnovers. And people are coming away from this being like, he had a really good game. The half-court offense was horrible. And it's not all DGL's fault, but like this team does need him to play point guard, and he's just wired so much more like I'm going to go get my buckets guy. That works in transition to your point, but I'm a little concerned both by the shooting and very concerned about the point guard play right now that like, man, can you imagine if this team just did get like Tiger Campbell? like
and Creasa. Okay.
Aren't we talking about Illinois as like a top 5 team in the country if Tiger Campbell's their point guard right now?
I hear an argument for that, yeah.
And I know Tiger's not playing college, so it's not like Illinois necessarily did anything wrong there, but there's just such a gaping hole, man. It's going to be all year trying to put a puzzle piece that doesn't fit in the most important spot of this half court offense. I don't know. Anyways,
Yeah,
blowout win. Illinois, where's your confidence level? If you had to put a number on it, 1 to 10, based on the 2 games you've seen coming off of this win against Valencia, 10 being they win a game in the NCAA tournament, 0 being they missed the NCAA tournament. What's your confidence meter at?
10 saying they win a game?
They win a game in the NCAA tournament.
10.
Wow. Okay.
10. Yeah. I think that Terrence Shannon Jr. and Coleman Hawkins alone and what Sincere Harris is doing, I think that they'll be able to grind their way out to 1 win in the tournament.
Okay.
I
think
like a 7. Terrence Shannon Jr. by himself is worth 1 NCAA tournament win. That's how I feel about it. He's that good.
Okay. I'm at like a 7 for the record, but I think there's more positives than negatives to take away from this, even though we keep harping on the shooting and the point guard. Like I said, elite defensively. That's the recipe. Be a top 10 defensive team in the country. There's a path forward for Illinois to be very competitive this year. Let's move on from a team with some question marks to a team with not a lot of question marks. Purdue. I keep running around saying they might be the best team in the country. You should buy stock, yada, 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 yada cart. They looked really, really good yet again yesterday. They played Kickz, IBAM. I don't know exactly who that team is or what, but you could watch this whole game. You can go watch the Matthew Loves Ball if you want to see the summary of it. The story here for me, Braden Smith was impeccable. 22 points, 12 assists to 4 turnovers. He had 6 rebounds. He had 3 steals. He was 2 for 3 from 3. If you watched it, he was coming off little curl screens, hitting pull-up jumpers. This kid was really good last year, even though we criticized him for not being able to handle pressure late in the season. He was really good. He was a large part of why Purdue was so good last year, and everyone seems to not care. Everyone seems to write him off and act like there isn't a jump coming for him. Card, I wouldn't be surprised if Braden Smith was all Big Ten this year. Like, I think he's really good to put up these numbers in any setting. I mean, 22, 12, and 6. The kid's a sophomore on a team with the National Player of the Year. Like, I'm wildly impressed. Did you see what I saw with Braden Smith?
I was wildly impressed as well. And you know how I feel about Braden Smith, and we've been talking about it all summer. The one reluctancy I guess I have with this is that does Braden Smith look like this with Zach Edey in the fold? Because to me, everything he was doing was so aggressive in yesterday's game. Like, he was the engine. He was the guy they were looking to generate offense, to make plays, to score baskets, to get rebounds. He doesn't have to be that guy with Zach Edey. So is he going to be that aggressive when Edey's back? I don't know. Is TKR going to be able to show what he's been able to show with Zach Edey back? Like, it's good to have a National Player of the Year, but guys aren't going to play the same when Zach Edey is in the fold. I don't know necessarily even if they should because of how good Zach Edey is, but I guess I take this performance with a grain of salt only because I don't know if we're going to see this aggressive level of Braden Smith. I don't know if we're going to see the same TKR with this team. And I'd be remiss also if I didn't shout out your brother for a very good performance. Shout out the year of Waddell at Purdue, by the way.
Yeah, first of all, whoever the announcers were for this game, you're going to have to see me because it's pronounced Waddell. It's not pronounced Waddle. I had to live with that for quite a few years in my life, okay? It's Waddell. Get the name right. Second of all, man, Brian Waddell has had an impressive summer. To go from a total, I mean, not to be rude, but to go from like a walk-on total non-factor to holy shit, he looks like the best wing on this team at a position of need is wild. Some would say that it's the second most impressive summer any Waddell's had. I mean, I'm eating fruit and running miles, and I'm down 27 pounds since the birth of my daughter. But Brian Waddell, it's important to note that Brian Waddell looks like a transformed man. I just love how many options this team has. And maybe that changes when Edey's back because you don't need options when you have the best player in the country. But doesn't it feel like all of their options are at the things that went wrong last year? Like, Brian Waddell has emerged. Miles Colvin looks really athletic. Yeah. Those guys both play the position they needed to get better at. And Kaufman-Renn is a dude now. And I think that's an answer at the 4. So I don't know, man. Like, The shooting was the question, right? Shooting? Everyone was scared about the shooting. Like we just talked about how Illinois, we're skeptical of their shooting. They can't make a shot in the summer. Purdue's 10 for 22 from 3 in a game without Zach Edey.
Also, whispers Ethan Morton hasn't played, so I mean,
yeah. Are we gonna do that? Are we gonna do that?
I'm just saying, guys are able to take some opportunities when other guys don't play, and there might be a reason why they look better than certain players. I'm just saying.
It's no disrespect, but I do think this season could end up being defined by how many total minutes Mason Gillis and Ethan Morton are playing. If those guys are still playing what they played last year, I think we do know what Purdue is for the most part. If those guys have their minutes diminished a little bit because a guy like Brian Waddell or because a guy like Miles Colvin or because a guy like TKR is too good, you can't take him off the floor, then we see steps forward. Again, I just said 10 for 22 from 3, 45%, 10 for 10 from free throw. Like, so if people think we're panicking about Illinois, fine. It's not that hard to make shots in a summer game. Like, if you can shoot, the shots do go in. And like I said, no Edey, like, the thought would be all these shots look a lot easier when Edey's back on the floor because you have to send 2 bodies at Edey and they're going to get wide open looks like they did in the tournament when they missed them. So the stock's through the roof, man. Like, I don't know how many times we can just keep saying it. We're just going to keep coming on here.
I'm sick of saying it. Can I say 2 last things?
Of course.
Quick. One, just know that we were the first to have Brian Waddell was the first guest on Sleeper's College Hoops to Go. We saw him and Caleb first on the streets getting coffee. Let that be known. And the second thing, quick question. All I want is a quick answer. We can actually maybe have a segment on this tomorrow. Would you rather have, moving forward, Doug McDaniel or Braden Smith?
Oh, you're really going to make me do that, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have
for the record, somebody asked me this yesterday, and I took Braden.
Do I have to be honest?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
It's Braden. It's Braden Smith. He's a better player.
Okay.
Oh, I hate myself. Doug is my favorite player ever. I love him. I will die for him. I literally will. I'll stick my hand in a blender for 60 seconds for Doug McDaniel. Like he's not better than Braden Smith though.
It is what it is.
Oh, I hate you for that. That hurts so bad. Okay, moving on. I want to talk about the best backcourt in the country. No, I'm not talking about the Michigan State Spartans. Sorry. And I'm not saying that just to clickbait. I think there is a better backcourt card. It's USC's backcourt. Isaiah Collier, my once beloved recruit. Shout out Davey Scoops. He looks really good. He passes the eye test. They had their first game. The NBA account was all over this, by the way. I don't know how much you saw that, but like just the official NBA Twitter account was like covering this game for some reason.
Yeah, well, the game was on the NBA app.
Oh, it's random that they were choosing to stream. Maybe
well, I think it was because of the team they're playing, like Mega Basket. That's like a pretty big, prominent overseas team. I think like I might be misquoting me, but like Denny Avija, I think played for them. Like pretty big players played for Nikola Jovic, who's on the Heat, played for that team. So they get some pretty good players.
I still can't believe you're pronouncing things correctly now. It's insane. But anyways, USC looked really good. First of all, they won this game, which was a significant upgrade competition-wise to who Purdue and Illinois were playing. They were down most of the game. They came back, won the fourth quarter, stormed back. Isaiah Collier, 20 points, 6 assists. You claim 8 turnovers, but we have not been able to confirm that other than one random tweet. But you're sticking by it was 8 turnovers.
Even so, I don't care. I'm looking past the 8 turnovers.
Okay. I mean, am I crazy for saying this is the best backcourt? Because you give me Collier and Boogie. There's not 2 more dudes at the guard position that terrify me in the country than that team.
Greg, you give me, but you know I'm Boogie Ellis stan. Okay, the kid's name is Boogie Ellis, for God's sakes. And he's going to be 23 this season. He's been putting up buckets a long, long time. And what, like, better storyline would it be before USC leaves the Pac-12? This team comes out of nowhere. They rally around the fact that Bronny might not play this year. And they just, they they just ride the guards all the way through. Like last season, it was USC riding Drew Peterson and Boogie Ellis, which worked extremely well until Drew Peterson had a back injury. Now you bring in Isaiah Collier, like #1 player in the country among a lot of recruiting services. A person who's on NBA boards. Mix that in with the old seasoned dog of a guard and Boogie Ellis. Like, I'm buying that team. I'm bringing out the phrase. I have not said it yet, but guards win in March, damn it. And that's a really good backcourt, and that's going to get them places. And honestly, it does suck to me, and it's good to see that Bronny is okay, but him in the fold with this team would be so much fun. They really would be. And maybe he does come back, and maybe he is able to come back this year and play. Who knows? But I would be even more excited to watch Bronny on this team fitting in with a really good backcourt.
Yeah, we're all rooting for Bronny, obviously. We know what Boogie is. Boogie's a bucket. He's fun. I think Boogie can be one of your best players on a really good team. He's got to prove he can do that on like a winning team, like a championship team, but he's been the centerpiece of a good USC team already. Why I like this mix is because I think Isaiah Collier lets Boogie focus on what Boogie's good at.
Scoring.
Yeah, like with Collier in the fold, Boogie just needs to go get his 20 every night and guard a little bit. Like last year, I think he had to do a lot of everything in the backcourt. And Collier, I'm so impressed, man. I loved him as a recruit. I know that obviously because there was a chance he was going to come to Michigan for a while. But like, I really have a hard time going back and finding a guard or a freshman guard that I was this high on, because Collier to me is very polished for who he is. Like, he is an athlete. He can shoot it a little bit, but his change of pace is so special to me. Like, he's always in control when you watch a full game. And it's always been that way, even going back to the all-star stuff he was in as a recruit. But like, you throw him on this court with one of the best programs in Europe, he was the best player on the floor. Like, he was
strong as shit too. He's ready. Like, his body's there, like everything.
Like, his first bucket was like a tough Euro through traffic and took contact and hung in the air and the touch. Like, I don't know how this kid isn't a star in college. And I think it's obvious he is. I think it's obvious he's a one and done. He's going to be an NBA great player. But like, I'm going back through the years, like, who have been the last like freshman guards that were more than just like, oh, that's an exciting, fun freshman? Like, you probably go back to like the De'Aaron Fox, Lonzo Ball year, where those two guys were like,
Foles was in that class too.
But those two guys were like the centerpiece of like, we think this team could win the championship, right? And it's because of Fox and Lonzo and a couple guys. Like, those are the vibes I get from Isaiah Collier right now. Is like, this dude is gonna be on a winning team because this dude, it's impossible for this dude to lose games. He's that good. Like,
no, I'm 100% in on it, and I go back to last year what I said too about Boogie when we were talking about like tournament preview stuff, and this was even before we knew Michigan State drew USC. Like, I think we had some segment where we were talking about players that could have a tournament, like a Kemba-like tournament run. I ain't saying that Boogie is Kemba, but there is a world where Boogie Ellis has like a 6 or 5 game run where he just goes absolutely nuclear and finds his way into a Final Four. Like that there's a world where that could happen. He has that ability to be explosive. And then you match that up with a guy like Isaiah Collier. I mean, that's a special backcourt. Obviously, we got to see how the other pieces around them go, but that backcourt is damn near good enough to win them and get them a lot of places.
If Boogie's Kemba, who's Collier in this dream world? Like, where it works perfectly and they make the magical March run. Like, who's Collier?
I don't want to disrespect him, but like Jeremy Lamb.
Oh, that's crazy. He's a point guard.
Well, like, I mean, who?
I meant like out. You can go outside of UConn. Like,
I thought you were talking about literally on Kemba's team.
No. I'm trying to frame this of like, they got March Kemba and they got somebody from somewhere else.
Well, my comp for him has always been Emmanuel Mudiay. Who I think would have looked like Collier if Mudiay went to college. I think that's the kind of player he would have been.
Yeah, I don't love that. I don't know why I don't love that, but I don't love that.
Well, who are you looking at here?
I don't know. I don't have a good one. I'm really struggling to come up with a college player that was this polished as a guard. Like, even Fox, like, I keep going back to Fox just impact wise. They don't play anything alike, but like, Fox was like eye popping, but he still never felt like, I don't know, like he wasn't in complete control of the game. Like he was just kind of asserting his will physically. Like Collier, the way he processes things is like, oh, the game is played on his terms. We're speaking Collier's language for 40 minutes today. And that's crazy to me. A kid that young is already doing that. I couldn't be a bigger fan of his, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. What's your feeling on my stance that this is the best backcourt of the country? Are you taking Michigan State or USC's backcourt when it really comes down to it? You made me answer a Braden Smith, Doug McDaniel question. You got to be honest here.
I'm taking USC's backcourt.
Okay.
Yeah, and that pains me. But like, give me maybe a lottery pick and a first team all conference guard.
Yeah. And if you wanted to add like the Aiken side, you would add a healthy Bronny James in theory. And it's those
that
three.
That would make it even closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, if we're just going straight backcourt right now, and God, I guess that's payback for you making you pick Braden and Doug. But yeah, I think I take USC's backcourt.
This is an episode full of tough conversations, I guess. Tough admissions from us. All right. I'm excited to watch USC. It'll be fun to watch them all season long. Let's move on to our one big thing presented by Bigby. I did not have Bigby this morning, and that's why my morning has been completely shit, Cart. It's been horrible. I am not looking forward to the rest of the day. I have a bad taste in my mouth. My shoulder kind of itches, and I can't figure out why. So I need Bigby. Bigby is what changes my entire life on a daily basis. What's your one big thing presented by Bigby today?
Yeah, well, you might be itching because you were overuse of Icy Hot. That actually might be in play. My one big thing for today is that I feel like every team should be required to take an overseas summer trip every 4 years. I'm like very jealous that people get to, like, Purdue fans and Illinois fans get to watch their team play this summer and like go on this trip. I was looking back on it. I think Michigan State's last trip was Italy in 2015. I think they were planning on going in 2020, but obviously the pandemic happened. But like, it would have been really fun to see this Michigan State team on an overseas trip. Like Cohen Carr would have been fun. Xavier Booker would have been fun. I think it would have been a really fun group and team to watch play like on a little overseas tour during the summer.
You went on an overseas trip at Albion, didn't you?
I did.
Where'd you go?
Italy.
How'd it go? Like, what's it like being on an overseas trip?
It's a lot. It's way too much fun. Way too much fun.
Did you have like a curfew, and were you out of curfew?
We had curfew on game nights, but the rest of the time we didn't. And also we were there for 11 days.
That's insane. That's just that's crazy judgment.
And this was 18-year-old Carter. Yeah.
Wow.
It was dangerous.
Maybe there's a reason I haven't heard stories from that. Maybe what happens in Italy stays in Italy, I guess. My one big thing today is I'm going to talk gambling. If you don't care about gambling, you can flip the show off right now. Thanks for listening. Dimers, which this is a self-plug because I work at Dimers, but they've been doing these round robins. I told you about them. I'm convinced this is the most fun way to bet sports. Like, put aside profits, they've been really profitable, but put that aside, this is the most exhilarating way I have ever bet on sports. Every single day, they pick 5 baseball players, and all the bet is they have to hit a home run. Call it the home run round robin. And Dimers has this whole model that assigns probabilities to how it'll happen, simulates the games, etc. But you can do it with Dimer stuff. You can do it without Dimer stuff. Pick 5 guys to hit a home run. And then you do a round robin bet, which is basically a bunch of smaller parlays. So depending on how you stagger how much money you put down, if 2 of your 5 players hit a home run, you make a profit that night. If 3 of your 5 hit a home run, you make a bigger profit. If 4 of your 5 hit a home run, you make a huge profit. And if all 5 hit a home run, you're never working again. So Dimers has been consistently hitting 2 out of 5. Like probably like 5 days out of the week, they'll hit 2 out of 5. And then there's always one day a week where they either hit like 3 or 4. And it's just the most fun thing ever. But you just like set your Twitter alerts for like the MLB home runs account. And from 7 p.m. through the end of the night, every 6 minutes, there's a new alert on my phone. And I'm all excited to check it, hoping it's my player. and half the time it is my player. And then you're like, it's just so fun, man. I got you on it.
100%.
I've been doing it every night for like 3 weeks. And if there's any bettors that listen to the show, I think you'd really enjoy it. And I'm most excited to flip this strategy for baseball and do the same thing, but for touchdowns on an NFL Sunday.
Yes.
How fun would that be?
Oh, that's going to be amazing. Throw on some red zone. Oh.
We just got 5 guys all day from 1 p.m. tonight that we need to score a touchdown. I cannot wait.
And God forbid, Gregor, we get to that Sunday night game and all we need is Isaiah Pacheco. God forbid.
It's going to be so fun. All right. I can't wait for football. Shout out to everybody who was in the comments again. Keep them coming, please. We appreciate the support. It's been another good week here at Sleepers Enterprises. A lot of exciting news coming soon. Riley Friday tomorrow with Heat Checks, Riley Davis. We'll see you then. Have a great Thursday, everybody.